Sunny skies and the Grand National Steeplechase bring a big crowd to Hereford, Maryland, to watch gentlemen jockeys fight it out over a 3-mile course. It's the racing event of the season for owner riders. A grueling test for jumper and jockey. The younger set follow the race.
I'm Greg Shelton. Today we're at the 119th Grand National Steeplechase. Today we're going to learn what it feels like to be a rider and a fan.
This is the heart of timber racing in the world. I mean, this is it, the Manor Grand National Hunt Cup. These are the Grand National is the lead up to the Hunt Cup, which is the toughest timber race in the world. I'd like to think of this one being the second toughest.
When I started racing, I saw where the Holy Grail was in
Right.
racing, and it was in Maryland.
Wow.
Everything is just hands and fists above any other racing, timber racing that is, in the country.
It is the pinnacle of horse racing achievement because there are so many elements of racing that have to come together to be successful on a day like today or next weekend at the Maryland Hunt Cup. It's not just one component. You have to have your horse being in terrific shape, your rider, everything has to come together on that day. So it's statistically a very challenging thing to achieve.
Winning is it. You know, for you just to survive and get around, yeah, that was great. But winning is it.
The adrenaline from riding a steeplechase, there's no feeling in the world like it. I think, and a lot of jockeys when they retire, they struggle to find. A lot of jockeys walk away from the sport completely because they can't go without that adrenaline rush that they used to have.
When you get that sweet taste of victory, you soak it up.
From afar, the riders work hard to jockey their horses for position and manage the terrain of the course. But much like any race, it's often how a rider handles the final straightaway to the finish line that truly matters.
The Grand National itself is a unique race, and I will say the last 4 fences in the Grand National are some of the most challenging to ride and to jump because of the speed you're going. You jump the few out in the countryside and you come to Carroll Fenwick's driveway. Spits you out into this downhill run to the 3rd last fence. It's a stack rail or a hog fence, which means it's just a bunch of logs just laid on top of each other. And then you run at a beacon, and if there are several horses in contention at that point, 3 or 4 of you, you're all gunning for the inside as you go around this dogleg turn to the 2nd last fence.
The last 3 fences does make a big difference. So you want to keep your momentum going, and that's basically how you win. If you see a horse in the last 3 fences lose momentum, they're in trouble.
I'm sure you've heard the adage, getting back on the horse. Sometimes it can be more real than you'll ever know.
It's a dangerous sport. It's probably one of the only sports in the world where you're followed by an ambulance.
The horse or the rider, neither one of them want to fall.
Horses are not like motorcycles or cars. If your driver is not happy with his motorcycle or car, he can turn it off. You can't turn off an animal, and they have their own minds. There's some days they don't feel like getting up to go to work. They're kind of like humans. Everyone has different personality.
I've had a few injuries riding. Going up to the 2nd to last fence in the lead of the water jump, my horse refused and landed on top of me, kicked me in the face. And I had reconstructive surgery on the left side of my face. Most important thing after that, when you're healed, is getting back on the horse. I do this because I love it. There's no pay in it for me. Nobody's forcing me to do it. I'm here because the passion for the sport, passion for the horses, and it's a lot easier to get back onto a horse when you're doing it for all the right reasons.
So there are ways to mitigate those risks, but if it wasn't dangerous, it wouldn't be as fun.
This race actually started as a race for those who weren't old enough to qualify for next week's Maryland Hunt Cup. And so it's kind of a young man's race. We joke. Now it's a young ladies' race too. We got a lot of female participants in steeplechase now, which is, you know, really exciting to see both genders be able to compete on the highest levels of this sport together. The history of it really is one that's contiguous with fox hunting and working horses over open land. And so one of the critical pieces of any steeplechase arrangement is that the horses have land to work on. And so keeping this land contiguous and preserved is really a large part of that history, just as much as the racing.
The equestrian land in Maryland is so incredibly beautiful to behold, but there's also something more to it. It's been said that the limestone below the soil helps make Maryland grass some of the most desirable in the world. As any event that is such a splendid equestrian heritage like the Grand National, many Maryland families embrace it as it's become truly part of their culture.
I was actually, Greg, a twinkle in my parents' eye. They met and started dating here at the Grand National. Wow. And it was, I think, their 32nd wedding anniversary. I could have butchered that, but I should have that number right. They met just under those pine trees about, 33, 34 years ago.
How did you guys meet?
We met at My Lady's Manor in Moncton 4 years ago over a hat. And it was much similar to this hat, Panama hat from the Yoicks tent that I had just picked up because I lost my glasses.
Yeah.
And he had the same hat and recognized it.
She saw me 100 yards away, galloped at me like a wild animal, and I asked her to marry me. What, an hour later?
Yeah, 4 hours later.
Yeah.
But I
3
didn't
years
gallop.
later,
I did not gallop.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
I think the Grand National is more of a community event. I mean, the Hunt Cup, people come from all around, which is wonderful. My Lady's Manor is the other side of the county, Hartford County, it's wonderful. But Grand National for us, North Baltimore County, this is like our community event.
Born the same year as Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, and the Wright brothers' first flight, the Grand National will celebrate 120 years this year. How has this middle race of the Triple Crown endured? How many lives has the Grand National graced? How many chance encounters have been met? How has it inspired others to make Steeplechase part of their lives and their children's lives? This is what draws me in. There's just something unexplainable about how horses tie us together. The regal yet calming nature that horses set upon us allow the perfect atmosphere for gathering, showboating, and feeling honored to be part of what makes Maryland incredibly unique. The legacy that is the Grand National is only realized if we Marylanders make it a part of our story. There's a reason these events have been around for hundreds of years. Yesteryear is constantly challenged by today's ultra-fast-paced digital age that's all too commonplace these days. I champion those that can look into the past and see a path to our future. Ask yourself, how can you help fortify these gems we Marylanders hold close to our hearts, homes, and lives?
Thanks for watching Maryland Equestrian Life. Until next time.
Next on Maryland Equestrian Life.
If Connor wanted, he could have kept going and be a champion jockey over here.
Connor Hankin is ranked second in the nation in the national steeplechase jockey standings.
Here's my up-and-coming star, and I'm losing him, and he's going to join the military. So I'm like, are you crazy?
Learn how amateur rider Connor Hankin abruptly changed his course from his destiny as a professional jockey to a very unexpected career. This program would not be possible without the caring support of the following groups: